Good morning and welcome to Moving Well. Moving Well is a class where we do NeuroMovement lessons. And what NeuroMovement lessons are is they are movement lessons where we invite our brain to reorganize us, to help us to learn to move more comfortably, more efficiently, and more easily in all of our daily movements. So in order to do that, what we do is engage what we call the 9 essentials. And who can tell me what some of the 9 essentials are? Move slowly. Imagination, right. Enthusiasm. Get excited. When you, just like kids, you know, where they get excited when they do something exciting or they do something new. That gets your brain's attention, and your brain gets busy reorganizing and making new connections so that you can be even more comfortable and more efficient in your movement in your body. And take your movement to higher levels and become stronger in your body as well as more comfortable. And of course that you take into the rest of your daily life, and who knows, you may be taking new classes, doing new sports. Who knows what you might be doing. So we start out by just laying on the floor. You'll want to take off your glasses. Then we remove our glasses because our eyeballs are literally extensions of our brain, and they have a powerful impact on our brain. And the glasses can actually tend to hold our brain to an old pattern. So we always take off our glasses or remove any contact lenses. And then we just get quiet and bring your attention in. Right now, you are the most important person in the room. So give yourself your full attention. Pay attention to your contact with the floor. Notice your breathing. Where are there spaces? Where is your body resting on the floor?
Yeah. Just shut it off. Sorry.
To start the new year, I thought we would do a series of lessons on healthy breathing, NeuroMovement for healthy breathing. And the reason I'm choosing that is because, well, we're breathing in anything that we're doing. And if there are restrictions in our breathing that limit our movement, there are ways that we can do things that make changes, that open up the space. If we think of our torso as a box, envision your torso kind of as a box with the ribs on your sides and your pelvis, and in the front you've got your sternum and your clavicles, your collarbones, as well as your ribs. And behind, of course, you have your spine and your shoulder blades and your ribs. And what happens over time and in life is that there are muscular contractions that engage and then don't disengage. They're just kind of stuck. And so what we want to do is to open this up so that our torso is flexible and pliable so that we're able to breathe. Our lungs themselves do not have any muscles. That isn't the way breathing happens. The box that I just described is involved with muscles expanding and contracting, and that impacts the lungs. And if there's constriction in the rib cage with the musculature, that limits the amount that we can inhale. And we need all of this associated musculature to really reduce the volume and push out all of the air and exhale fully, which when we exhale fully, that lowers the oxygen and it raises the carbon dioxide in our blood. And that's what causes us to have a good inhale. And then the freedom to expand fully, allowing the fresh air to come in. So in this series, we're going to focus on giving you more and more freedom to breathe in many varied ways. And then your own brain's intelligence will take over, giving you more options to use in your daily life. So speaking of that box, pay attention to the way your pelvis is resting on the floor, your tailbone. Can you sense your tailbone at the base of your sacrum, which is the lower part of your spinal mechanism, and at your low back, the 5 lumbar vertebrae begin. Scan there, see how present that is in your awareness or not present. And then the vertebra in your mid-back area, where the ribs begin to attach, and then continuing on up between your shoulder blades, all the way to the base of your neck, and then from the base of your neck through the 7 cervical vertebrae to the base of your head. So scanning up your spine that way at your own pace. Now scan from the top of your spine at the base of your skull down your spine all the way to your tailbone. And now just focus on your breathing and bring your attention to your rib cage. And see if you can locate in your sense of yourself the 12 ribs on your right where they attach to your spine in the back, and follow all the way around to the front where they attach to your sternum, your breastbone. And the lower ribs are connected with cartilage that ultimately connect to your sternum. And then do the same thing on the other side, the left side. Sense your ribs in the back attached to your spine, circling around to the front and attaching to your sternum, your breastbone. And then, again, from your tailbone, at your own pace, scan from your tailbone through your sacrum. And as you scan up your spine, this time all the way to the top, let yourself also be aware of the ribs attached on either side. And now pay attention to your 2 shoulder blades. Your shoulder blade on the right, your shoulder blade on the left. And the way your right arm rests on the floor and your left arm rests on the floor. And bring your attention back to your pelvis. Feel how the right side is contacting the floor and how the left side is. And then scan from your right hip joint down your right leg, through your upper thigh, your upper leg to your knee, from your knee through your lower leg to your ankle, and from your ankle through your foot and on out your toes. And then do the same thing on the left, from the left hip joint, through your left upper leg, your left knee, through your left lower leg to your ankle, and then on through your heel, your midfoot, your toes on the left. And then for a moment, bring your attention back to your breathing. And notice, is there any subtle change in your breathing just from having slowed down and given yourself some undivided attention? Is it different than when you first laid down? And now bend your knees, stand your feet. And you want your feet about hip width apart, and find that place where they stand easily without requiring a lot of muscular effort to keep them there. And now pull your belly in and expand your chest. So you pull your belly in, expand your chest, and then you push your belly out and flatten your chest. And then repeat that. Pulling your belly in, expanding your chest, and then pushing your belly out, flattening your chest. Notice. You can do this a couple different ways. First, breathe in, inhale while you're expanding your chest and flattening your belly. And then exhale as you push the belly out and flatten the chest. And just do this a few times, several times. And now, begin to intentionally exhale as you flatten your chest and push out your belly. And inhale, let me start over. Intentionally push your belly out as you inhale, flattening your chest. And then as you exhale, pull your belly in and let your chest inflate. And just repeat that a few times. What do you notice that's significantly different in doing it in these two ways? And just go back to the first way that you started out with, inhaling, inflating your chest and pulling your belly in, and then pushing your belly out and exhaling. How low in your torso, in your in your lower belly, can you feel the breath go? Does it go all the way to your pubic bone? One way that you can tell is pause a moment and put your fingertips on your lower belly so that you're on your belly just above your pubic bone. So you're actually touching your pubic bone, but your fingers are also partly on the muscles above it. And cough, just cough. And do that a couple times. And you feel how your lower belly pops out there? Okay. Well, when we're breathing fully, we can impact that musculature way down to our pubic bone. If we're only breathing shallowly, we won't be impacting that part of ourselves. So now roll to lie on your right side, bend your legs 90 degrees, and your right side. And if you're comfortable with your arm under your head, do that, but for most people it's not comfortable. You'll need a pillow or a support under your head, but make sure that your head is comfortable and that you're completely on your side. So you'll want to bend your knees, bend at the hip and bend at the knees. So it's kind of like you're sitting in a chair. Is that okay? Are you comfortable that way? Okay. And then can you still hear me if you let your head stay turned so you're facing straight forward?
Okay.
You can still hear me? Okay, great. So I just want to make sure everybody's got enough support under their head. Now, lying on your side like this, breathe in and expand your chest, hold your breath, and then flatten your chest and push your belly out. And see if you can do the same movement holding your breath that you could when you were breathing. So continue to breathe in, expanding your belly and flattening your chest. Then exhale, expanding your chest and flattening your belly. So now through the lesson, you can breathe as you like during the lesson. And you may find that as the lesson progresses, that you're spontaneously inhaling, expanding the chest, and pulling the belly in, and then pushing the belly out and flattening your chest as you exhale. So now, lying on your side, pull your belly in and expand your chest, and then flatten your chest and push your belly out. And just keep doing this slowly and easily. It doesn't require excessive force. And as you're doing it, begin to imagine your body parts. Imagine your ribs. Imagine your hip bones. Imagine your belly, your sternum, your spine. So as you're doing this, don't just think of expanding it forward, but also backwards and sideways. And then pull your belly in and expand the chest in all directions. And make sure that you leave your neck free, your face free, your jaw and your eyes are soft. And as we continue, also be aware of the periphery of yourself and notice if you're engaging any unnecessary muscular action. It could be in your toes, it could be in pressing your feet together or your knees together. One thing that's quite prevalent is the tendency to squeeze your buttocks when you're focusing on working on something. So check for those kind of things and see if you can't they don't really contribute anything to your function. So see if you can let them just be and focus on the muscles that are real contributors. Then reverse it so that you push out your belly as you inhale and flatten your chest. And pull in your belly as you exhale and expand your chest. Again, expanding in all directions. In reversing it, are there different parts that are restricted? And of course, the parts that you're lying on are going to be restricted because they are butting up against the floor. But other than that, and then slowly stop that. Slowly roll onto your back. And rest. Lengthen your legs. Of course, observe your breathing. Excuse me. Time just to notice what gets your attention first, to you uniquely. Notice, is there a difference between the right side and the left side that you sense in your contact with the floor, or that you sense in the action of breathing? Now, excuse me, roll to lie on your left side. Same position, hips and knees at 90 degrees. You can use your, your right hand to rest on the floor in front of you in any way that is comfortable or helpful. Would it help to have something in front of you to rest your hand on, Dolores?
No, I'm fine.
You think you're good? All right. Okay. For starters, take a few moments just to observe your breathing now, to observe your contact now on your side. And now begin to just notice as you're breathing, what is happening in your chest? What is happening in your belly? Is there anything happening in your belly? Often our breathing can be so shallow that it doesn't even get to having any movement in our lower torso. So now begin to intentionally pull your belly in and expand your chest as you inhale. And push your belly out and flatten your chest as you exhale. And put your right hand on your belly to really feel your belly pushing out and as your chest flattens. That helps the brain to recognize a little faster, even if it's kind of foreign to you at first. And all the time we're doing this, scan the rest of yourself, paying attention to what's happening with your ribs. Your ribs on the right, your ribs on the left. Your spine. Do you feel movement in your spine? If so, what parts of your spine? Your shoulder blades, your right shoulder blade, your left shoulder blade. Your sternum, your breastbone. Your clavicles, your collarbones. On the right and on the left. And there may or may not be movement in your collarbones or other parts of yourselves, as we're in the early stages of this lesson. But that's what we pay attention to, because it's noticing when there's a change that makes a big difference in our brain. And now your diaphragm. Can you get a sense? The diaphragm is it's a phenomenal musculature. It has so many attachments. But it's sort of like an umbrella that as we exhale, the umbrella top can come up, and as we inhale, the open part of the umbrella moves out and the rounding part moves down. Just see if you can get a sense of what kind of movement there is in your diaphragm. And that the diaphragm is one muscle that can get stuck and get hung up. Especially if we've lived a lot of our life with very shallow breathing. So use your imagination. Imagining the umbrella opening and and coming closer. It doesn't close ever, but it rounds up, and then the top of it rounds down and the sides fan out. Imagine your ribs. And then let that go. Roll on your back and rest. And now, are you sensing any change in your breathing? So this lesson isn't about, none of the Feldenkrais lessons, the NeuroMovement lessons are about teaching you a right way to breathe. But what we do is introduce more variation. And the more variation we give to our brain, our intelligence takes over. And it will itself give us more options for use in our daily life. And now bend your knees, stand your feet again. And again, gently roll your pelvis, pulling your belly in and expanding your chest. And do this a few times, and then pushing your belly out, flattening your chest, rolling your pelvis down. And just do this nice and gently, and use your imagination. Let your imagination go before you and prepare the way. Is it different than when we first started today? As you're doing this, notice your jaw. Is there any tension in your jaw that you could let go of? Our jaw and our pelvis actually mirror each other. And if you want to experience that, just gently clench your teeth a little bit and feel what happens in your pelvic floor. And then open your jaw widely and move it around. Let the muscles relax. And as you're imagining, as you're rolling your pelvis, as you're rolling your pelvis down, you notice a subtle arch in your low back, and maybe a subtle arching in your upper back. And as you roll your pelvis so that your pubic bone lifts from the floor, does it feel like your head and your pelvis are gently moving towards each other? And then as your back rounds, and then as your belly gently pushes out, there's that subtle arch. Can you sense the subtle arch happening in your entire spine? Just a really gentle, subtle. So it goes all the way into your head and all the way to your tailbone. And then let that go, lengthen your legs and rest. Do you sense the quiet in the room? Bend your knees again, stand your feet, and interlace your fingers in the non-habitual way. And the way you find that is just automatically interlace your fingers, and then just move all your digits over one. It'll feel a little strange. And then put your hands behind your head. Put your hands behind your head so that you're not on your neck, you're on the leaning point of your head, so you're supporting your head well. So, and then bring your elbows together and cradling your head, lift your head and do the seesaw breathing, which is pulling the belly in, expanding the chest as you inhale, and then pushing the belly out, flattening the chest as you exhale. And you're holding your head up. Unless it's a real struggle. Do not struggle. If it's a struggle, then lift your head, do a breath, seesaw breath, and then lay your head down. Let everything relax, and then repeat it. To do a few comfortable moves is more powerful than doing multiple moves if we're struggling. Struggling just voids everything. So you hold your head up as you do the seesaw breathing, and you can do it just a couple times up and down. Sometimes it helps to imagine that there's a little ball rolling up and down your spine. Continue this, and then feel what happens if you lift your head a little higher. When you pull your belly in, can you feel how it pushes your head back a tiny bit toward the floor? Maybe yes, maybe no at this point. And then just flatten your chest and pull your belly out, push your belly out. And then pause and rest for a moment. Lengthen your legs. And now, bend your knees again, stand your feet, interlace your fingers any way you want now. And now, this time, extend your right arm above your head on the floor. And if you need support under it, put support, just your right arm. Just your right arm is up. And who needs support? Who needs support under your arm? Let me grab some cushions. It's vitally, vitally important that you are comfortable. Do you need support here? Does that help? No, it's up here.
I think I'm okay.
Okay, you're okay. Okay, who does need help? Are you finding you're more comfortable once you're there? You got it. Okay, you need some. Where do we need it? Here we go. This. How's that? Does that help? Everybody else okay? All right. Now, with your right arm resting in the upward position, begin to do the seesaw breathing. Feel your right shoulder blade and ribs. Do they feel like they're more free to move? Your shoulder blade and your ribs more free to move with your arm up? So you're doing the seesaw breathing. Now lengthen your left leg and continue the seesaw breathing. And feel the line of movement, the pressure on your backside when you do this movement. Where do you feel the energy moving? It's kind of like you're doing a massage from the inside. Massaging your back from the inside. And then let that go. Slowly bring your arm down. Lengthen your right leg. And rest. Take a few moments to sense any change that made, any difference. Remember, any little difference is significant to your brain. Every little difference is a piece of information for your brain to reorganize. And now bend your knees again, stand your feet. And just do the seesaw breathing. And now bring your left arm up. And again, if you need support, put support under your arm. And with your left arm up, begin to do the seesaw breathing. Noticing any change in just having your left arm up. Where does the force go? Do you feel more movement in your shoulder blade, your collarbone? And then lengthen your right leg and continue the seesaw breathing. Where do you feel the force going through your skeleton now? Feel the line of movement, the pressure on your backside when you do this movement. And then stop. Lengthen your legs, slowly bring your arm down and rest. Okay, now one more time, bring your right arm up. And bend your right knee. And now, imagine this first. You're going to do the seesaw breathing, but intentionally direct that movement of air toward your left armpit and then toward your right hip joint. I said that backwards, I think. Your right armpit and your left hip joint. Did I say it right the first time?
Diagonally or
Diagonally from your right armpit to your left hip joint. Is it different when you focus your attention on different parts of your body? And now change over the arms and the legs. So you're going to bring your left arm up and your right leg long. And again, begin the seesaw movement or breathing, and intentionally directing the movement to expand more towards your armpit and towards your hip joint, your left armpit and your right hip joint. When we bring different parts of ourselves into the action, and it's a shift in attention. Just a simple shift in attention has a huge impact on your brain. So we can get more variation, more options, more information for the brain. Get more participation of your torso. And then let that go. Slowly bring your arm down, lengthen your leg, and rest. Are there parts of yourself that are getting clearer in your image? Is your torso any clearer in your image? Now roll to lie on your belly. You'll want to get rid of any towels, pillows, cushions, and rest your forehead on the back of your hands. So put one hand on top of the other and just rest your forehead on the back of your hands. And let your legs rest comfortably, not too tight together. And now begin doing the seesaw breathing, expanding your chest, pulling in your belly, and then flattening the chest and pushing out your belly. So you pull the belly in, expand the chest, push the belly out, and flatten the chest. Notice if you begin to feel more movement in your ribs in the back, especially your floating ribs, or including your floating ribs. Often our floating ribs don't move because of our postural habits, the way we stand, and the way our back muscles habitually work. So if we can mobilize the floating ribs, it makes a huge difference in breathing, because there's a large part of our lungs that are in front of those floating ribs. And then leave that alone. Slowly roll onto your back. And just rest and scan yourself. And then one more time, bend your knees, stand your feet. And take a moment to imagine doing the seesaw breathing, that you inhale, inflate your chest, pull in your belly, and then exhale, flattening your chest and pushing out your belly. And then do a no-hale, which means without breathing, just flatten your chest, push out your belly, pull the belly in, and expand your chest. Is there more freedom of movement in those muscles now? And then go back to breathing along with. And then let that go, lengthen your legs. Is there a difference in your contact with the floor? Is there a sense of quiet inside? And just lying there, do a very gentle, slow seesaw breathing. And it can be so gentle that I can't even see it. And then begin to imagine how you're going to leisurely roll to your side and slowly come to standing. And one thing I want to mention, as you roll to your side, let your whole spine be soft. Let your head hang forward. Resist the urge or the temptation or the habit of arching your neck, taking your head back. Let your head kind of hang. So your whole spine is rounding as you begin to bring yourself into the upright position. And letting the head hang is key to resist that tendency to engage muscles unnecessarily. I'm going to move these so you have a chair.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
How
that's,
graceful I'm going to be.
oh, that's great. That's exactly what you need to do. Remember to let your head hang.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That worked better.
let the head hang. Let the head hang. Resist. Let the head hang. Let your head hang. Keep letting your head hang as you come up. Let the head hang. Resist the.
I did it.
Here you go. Did it make a difference?
Yes.
Okay.
Made a big difference because you straighten everything there and it won't pick up.
All right. Yeah. All right. So just take a few moments in standing. Feel the way your arms are hanging, your shoulders. And as you're standing there, as you inhale and exhale, let's move this a little so that you can come over on the floor. So you feel the firm floor underneath your feet. I'm just going to turn this, pull your shoes back, and then there you go. There you go. Perfect. So just take a few moments to just enjoy feeling what you feel. Notice the way your arms do hang. Feel the way your head is resting on your shoulders. And just notice, where does the breath go now as you inhale and exhale? How far, show me with your hands, how far down in your torso do you feel the expansion and the contraction? Okay, so now we know that the air only goes into our lungs, and our lungs don't go down there. So what is it that was holding that you let loose by doing the breathing?
Relax the muscles.
Right.
Diaphragm and abdominals.
That's it for today. Thank you for joining us with Moving Well, and keep on moving well.